All right, great. We are ready to get started. I see that we have Nirvana with us. We have Aisha with us, Amira, Marina. Excellent, excellent. And Marina, I love your t-shirt. Yeah, great. Uh, Excellent. So today we are talking about a really interesting topic. It's something that I don't teach very often. So I myself had to go back and look at the rules again. And so it's really an interesting topic, and it's really useful. And we're going to try to introduce some important ideas about how we make words. Today we're talking about how we make words, and we call this noun formation. So we're going to talk mostly about nouns, but we'll also talk a little bit about other types of words too. Noun formation. And for everybody who is on YouTube, we go live at 8 a.m. New York time every Friday on YouTube, and we go live at 8 a.m. New York time on Facebook every Monday. So we hope to see you at our next lesson also. Great. Let's get started. So how do we make words? There's a few different ways that we could make words. Most books or explanations talk about four main ways that we make new words. Prefixes. These are things that come at the beginning of the word, things that we add to the beginning of the word. Right? Like if we say, we can say that somebody is bilingual. Right? This is an adjective, but we can say Marina is bilingual. She speaks two languages, English and Russian. Bilingual. Bi is a prefix, it means two. And we can change this prefix, right? We can say trilingual. This means three languages. Right? So sometimes we use prefixes to add new meaning or to create new words. We also use suffixes. Suffixes. Suffixes are things that we add to the end of the word. And for example, ism. If we say Buddhism, Hinduism, right? Then these are concepts, these are ideas, these are philosophies, religions, right? So we make this into a noun. Ism tells us that this is a noun. It tells us that we are making a noun from this, right? And we can have all other kinds of isms too, like environmentalism, right? People who are working to improve the environment. We could say terrorism, something connected to creating terror, right? So prefix and suffix, things that we add to the beginning and things that we add to the end. Next, conversions. Conversions are basic. This is when we convert a word. We have a word that's usually a noun, like text, and we change it into a verb. To text. Do you remember what to text means? It means to send an SMS message. To send an SMS message with your phone. This is to text. To send a text message. And for short, people say to text. I'll text you. Or everybody uses this one too, to Google. To Google, right? Google is a noun, it's a name, and people use it as a verb. Somebody says, "Oh, what's the capital of this country, or what's the biggest city in this country, and nobody knows, and you say, Google it. I'll Google it. I will Google it. So Google can be like a verb, right? It's a noun originally, but then we changed it and made it a verb just by using the rules of verbs with this word. That's all we need to do. To change it from noun to verb, we just start using it like a verb, right? And so you can do this with lots of words. That's why today's lesson is really important, because we're really learning the rules about how native speakers can break the rules, right? Why is it okay when native speakers make mistakes, and it's not okay when someone who's learning how to speak the language, when they make mistakes, right? Why is, when someone who's learning the language makes a mistake, it sounds strange, but when a native speaker makes a mistake, it's natural. Something like this, right? Not always, but why does it feel like this? Because there are special rules about how you can break the rules. There are rules about how to break the rules, and this is, every native speaker uses these rules. They don't know it they don't know that they do this, but there's some kind of rule, and usually many jokes in a language are connected to changing the rules or making a mistake with a rule on purpose. And this will make some kind of joke or other meaning, right? So if we know how to create new words, then we know how to use this language a little smarter, right? So this is one example, and we'll talk about a lot more examples too. Another way that we create new words is compounds. When we put two things together. It's when we put two things together, right? So like backache. Ache is pain. It's when something hurts. You know, like there's different kinds of pain, right? Sometimes it hurts, and it's like bigger and smaller, like pulse, like pulsating, right? So an ache is kind of like this, right? It's this longer, softer pain. And so backache is like pain in the back, right? We could say, I have an earache, for example. So these are just two words. We put them together, and now we have a new word. So those are the four main ways that we create new words: prefixes, suffixes, converting the word, changing it from a noun to a verb, or from a verb to a noun, and compounds, putting two words together. Two other ways that we do this, we don't use them so much, is one is called back formation. Basically, we have a noun, and this noun has some kind of suffix or prefix. It has some part that's added already, and we might take away the suffix and make a new kind of word. So, for example, we have the word intuition. Intuition. It's maybe you know this word, intuition. It's a noun. It's when you know that something will happen. Like maybe you're walking down the street and two men walk past you, and you don't think anything, but your friend, who was a police officer, he has a feeling. He feels like something will happen. He knows something is not right, right? So he has this special feeling. He has intuition. And so we could take the end of this word, intuition, and we could lose the end of the word and say to intuit something. To intuit something, to make it a verb now. So this is another way that sometimes people will do this. Or for example, maybe you know the word enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. This is when someone is very excited, has a lot of energy to do it, right? They're very happy to do something. Like, hey, let's speak English today. And you're like, yes, let's go. We can say you are enthusiastic to learn English. You have a lot of enthusiasm, right? And so an English speaker could take the end of this word, because it's just a noun, enthusiasm, and they could cut it and say to enthuse. He enthused the crowd, for example. So this is another way that someone might make a new word, right? Even if it's not a real word. This is why it's important to know the rules, because sometimes this happens with things that are not real, or with a new name of something that we only learn now, right? With coronavirus, this was a very interesting example, because many people needed to start talking about this in English quickly. And so we developed many different nicknames. And in every language now, there's some kind of nickname for this, right? There's COVID, COVID-19, Corona, coronavirus, the virus. There's a lot of different names, right? So this is also another way that we make new words, through abbreviation, right? There's the long name, and then we just make it short. Instead of saying that something is fabulous, you could say it's fab. People will understand. In the UK, typically you don't say. You can say he went to university, but you can also say he went to uni. He went to uni. In American English, we don't say it like this, but in British English, this is okay. And a very American English one is this one. Sup. This is what's up. What's up? Sup. It's the same. Yeah. So again, this is just like, if you don't know this, if you don't speak like this, or then you probably don't understand what this word is, because it's not a real word. It's just a word that people use to shorten a phrase and everyone understands this phrase in this situation. So it sounds similar. It just sounds like someone very quickly said, what's up? What's up? Right. Okay, so these are some different ways that we make different words. All right, I see Gigi has joined us on here. Great. So now, whenever you want to turn your mic on, you can turn it on and answer, but I'm going to ask some questions and you can answer when you want. So prefixes. If we have the prefix mono, what does this mean? For example, if I say that he is monolingual.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
That means it's the one.
Just one.
Only one, yeah.
Yeah. So what about the word monopoly? What is this about? What does monopoly mean? Do you know this word?
This is the only producer on the market who own all markets. For example, this is a producer of I don't know, of medicine, for example, and the only producer on the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Aisha, do you understand? It's like a company that controls the whole market. So, for example, in the United States government now, they're talking about Facebook and Instagram and these companies that they're so big that other companies cannot compete with them. And so this is bad for the economy, for the country, because we need competition to stimulate the economy. So usually when a company becomes this big, the government has some laws. They're called anti-monopoly laws. And the company must break into smaller pieces, for example. So monopoly, yeah, it's the one player on the market. We also have the verb to monopolize, which means to control. And it's not only about business. In American English, we use this in a phrase about maybe you speak with people and there's one person who always speaks more than everyone else and doesn't let other people speak. This person monopolizes the conversation. Marina?
Monologue, it's right?
Monologue, good example. Yeah, and what's a monologue?
When one speaker is the only speaker, without conversation, without dialogues.
Exactly, and dialogue is?
Two participants in conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Okay, so what about uni then? Because mono means one and uni also means one. Right? Like
maybe
universe.
United, maybe. Something united.
Okay. So it's many parts that are one.
Yeah. Yes.
If we say that an instrument or a tool is universal, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It's
suitable for everything.
Yeah.
Yes. So great. Okay. What about quad? This prefix, quad. It means four.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if I have two and then I make it four, this means that I double it.
Double, yeah.
To double, to triple, to quadruple.
Quadricycle.
Quadricycle with four wheels. Exactly.
Chris, what about unicorn?
Unicorn has one horn.
Yeah.
But why uni here, the prefix uni? Or it's not prefix. Probably this is the root. This is a prefix.
It's a prefix. It's a prefix. It's about one horn.
Ah, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Quad, yeah. What else? There's some muscles that we call quads. Like if you stretch on the top of your legs here. These muscles are called quads. The four muscles that are there. Yeah, there's a lot of uses. Like if we talk about geometry, in geometry, if we have a shape that has four sides, this is a quadrilateral. So the word for. Next, what about unusual?
Vice versa.
Gigi?
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable is a good example.
Yeah.
So what is
unpredictable?
Unpredictable, good one.
It's something negative, no?
Yeah, it means not.
None. Not
Good.
And then the next thing, right? Uncomfortable, not comfortable.
Common.
Uncommon, good. Unimaginable. This one has a prefix and a suffix, right? Unimaginable. So if un is the prefix and able is the suffix, then what is imagine? It's the root,
Imagine, root.
the root word. The main part of the word. And so we add prefixes and suffixes, we add them to roots, right? Great. Okay, next. Non. This is another way for us to
Not-
say
Yeah, yeah, not, yeah.
No
and
one, no bar,
usually, sorry?
no bar, no one,
Sorry, say that again.
no one,
No one. Oh, this is the prefix non.
none.
Non. Yeah, and about pronunciation, it's non. American English, non. If we try to make it closer to British English, then it'll be non, non. Like with not. It's different than no, right? It does not and non do not have the O sound. They have the aw sound, not. So next, pre. What does pre mean?
Before,
Before, earlier. Like prefix,
prefix, yeah.
like to prepare something.
Previous.
Previous, good. And preview.
Preview, this is a noun, right?
A noun, a verb, both.
Preview.
To preview something.
Mhm.
And to watch a preview or to see a preview. And then after we can say post, right? Like when we talked about education, post, it means after.
After, yeah.
Like when we talked about education, we talked about postdoctoral programs. After you have your doctorate, then you can continue and do other programs. They're called postdoctoral programs, right? After. Sometimes if you're in a big company, in a big corporation, then you might have a pre-meeting meeting, and then you have the meeting, and then you might have a post-meeting meeting, so that you can be ready for what happens in the meeting, and then you can plan about what happened in the meeting afterwards. The pre-meeting meeting, the meeting, and the post-meeting meeting.
Pre-intermediate level
Pre-intermediate
of
level.
English.
Good example. Okay, so we have pre and post. What about multi?
Double.
Many.
Right.
Multicolored.
Multicolored. Good. Sorry?
Multitask.
Multitask.
Yeah.
Yeah, to multitask, to do many tasks at the same time. I can't do that. Some people say we live in a universe, and some people say we live in a multiverse. That it's not one, that there are many. Great. Okay, and we have anti or anti. Both pronunciations are correct. Anti or anti.
Like antibiotic.
Sorry?
Like antibiotic.
Antibiotic. Yeah, exactly. Type of medicine. Against. So anti means against.
Yes.
In Christian religion, they have antichrist, like the person who's the fake or the one who's against. They have what else? I think for skin they have what is it called? Antioxidants? No, this is with
Oxidant.
wine. What am I thinking about?
Antioxidant.
Oxygen.
Yeah.
Antioxidant.
Right.
Antioxidant.
Yeah.
Antioxidant.
Uh-huh. So we have lots of words like this. In a story, we might have the anti-hero. The anti-hero. It's like a bad guy who you connect with in the story because he's the hero. You know, like a story about a bad guy and he's the hero, but he's bad. So he's an anti-hero. Also in a story, we have a word that we like to use a lot about literature or about a film or a story. It could be anticlimactic.
Anticlimactic.
And what this means is usually in the story, you have the beginning and then it gets a little more interesting and a little more interesting. And then there's the climax, the peak, the climax, the top part, right? But some stories, they just never go to a really interesting place. They make you think that something really interesting is going to happen and then nothing. This is called anticlimactic. Like everybody's waiting for something to happen and then it just doesn't happen. So yeah, great. All right, let's go to suffixes. We have ism. We talked about ism already. And then we have ER and OR. And these tell us about a person who does something, right? The doer of something. So we can really take any word and then add
Teacher.
and it makes it a person who does it.
Yeah.
Teacher, yeah.
Teacher.
Painter.
Mhm.
Answer.
uh-huh.
Breeder.
Yeah, anything really. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Any verb can be made into a noun like this, right?
Mhm.
Singer.
Singer. Like, for example, to wave your hand. Waver.
Waver. Yeah.
A person who waves something will be a waver. A good 21st century example. Hater.
Follower.
Follower, subscriber, right? And that brings us back to something that we didn't talk about in prefixes. Insta. It means instant. It means instant, immediate, right now, right? Insta. And we use this, for example, Instagram. It used this in its name to say that it's happening immediately, right? Instantly. And that you're sending this instantly. Great. Okay, next. We have the suffixes ER, OR. These tell us about people nouns, but we also have the suffix EN, pronounced N, and this helps us make verbs. For example, if I want to make something shorter, then I will shorten it. To shorten. Short, and then EN, shorten. This means to make it shorter. If I want to make something wider, then I can widen it. If I want to make something higher or taller, I can heighten it. If I want to make something deeper in the ocean or something, underground, deeper, then I can deepen it. Right? So EN.
This is the verbs, right?
These are verbs.
Shorten, to shorten.
Right, to shorten.
Mhm.
So another way that we can make verbs is with the suffix "fi." Right? Like we have the word electric and electricity. And we have the verb to electrify.
And
Well-
magnify.
Sorry?
Magnify.
Magnify, modify,
Qualify, no? Qualify.
qualify,
Qualify.
or quantify. Mhm. Yeah, great. And then the next one, we also have eyes, some process of changing something, right? So, but it's a noun. Sorry, it's a verb. It's a verb. For example,
Minimize.
minimize, maximize,
Memorize.
memorize, good. And note that I have written it with this letter, Z, Z. In British English, many of these words will be with S, right? For this suffix. But in American English, it's usually written with Z or Z in British English. Great. Next, we have able or ibble, impossible,
Unbelievable.
unbelievable, right?
Adorable.
Adorable. That's a good one. Adorable.
Comfortable.
Sorry?
Comfortable.
Affordable. I think earlier we had unimaginable.
Yeah.
We could also say inconceivable. Inconceivable. This means that we cannot imagine it. We cannot think of this idea. To conceive, it's like about like having a child. Like you can't give birth to this idea. You can't create this idea. Inconceivable. Yeah. Great. Okay, next. Lee. This suffix, usually we add this suffix to an adjective and it makes an adverb, right? Like quick, quickly.
Easy, easily.
Yep, easily. Friendly.
Friendly.
This is not an adverb, right? This is an adjective. So it's not always an adverb when we see ly, but ly can be a suffix in most situations. And the last one about suffixes is proof. What does this mean? If I say that it's waterproof, what does that mean?
Resistant.
Resistant.
Defense.
Resistant.
Withstand, yes. Aisha, it will withstand this thing. And Marina, yes, it's defense against this thing.
Maybe durable, no? Durable.
Durable.
Yeah.
Resist.
Sorry, Amira?
Resist.
It resists. It resists something, exactly. So if
Waterproof. Waterproof. What else? Actually, I don't hear this.
Police usually wear a bulletproof vest.
Bulletproof.
Bulletproof vest.
We have the makeup as well, waterproof. That means you can take a shower and then stay there. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, you might also say, for example, you might have a fireproof box with important documents, or a fireproof safe. But basically, if you say proof after it, then it's protection against this thing, right? Like this thing should not touch it, should not hurt it. Sometimes you'll hear people say things like accident proof. Like an accident cannot happen. Or some other words like this. Or for example, about the economy, they might say recession proof. When someone's talking about their business or their business model, they might say, this is a recession proof business model. Like,
What does it mean, recession?
Recession, it's when the economy is bad and the economy is becoming worse. It's not a depression, but it's like a small depression.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Like in like in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the global economy had a recession. A financial crisis. Let's say that. Recession is a financial crisis. Economic crisis. Great, okay. So we talked about prefixes, we talked about suffixes. Next, let's talk about conversions. We spoke about to text. What does it mean to text?
To send messages. To type messages.
Yeah.
Where?
SMS.
Online.
Not online. No, not online. Only
phone.
SMS.
Yeah.
On the phone, on the cell phone. Only.
Chris, can I text on my computer? Or I type?
Do you have Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Then no. On Mac, you can send an SMS from your phone using your computer.
I mean, I'm typing. I can't say that I'm texting. It's not the same.
No.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But
It's typing.
Always say that. Are you text you or something like that?
I'll text you. It usually means by phone.
Yeah, but
And if it's by email, then we say I will email you. And if it's Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or Instagram or something like this, then we say I'll message you, or we say I'll IM or DM, instant message or direct message, something about message.
Okay.
And if it's by phone, then it's text message, but we don't say message all the time. We just say text. Yeah. And if someone says, I will send you a text, this is an SMS on your phone. Okay, we talked about Google. Download. Download was a verb. And then we made it a noun to talk about the thing that was downloaded, right? So today we might say, like, I don't know, join this program and get 10 free downloads. Here we use the word download as a noun, a thing. It's but we don't know which thing it is. It's just the thing which we download, which we use the verb. So it's about the verb, right? But we've changed the verb to a noun. Next. These are fun, and you probably didn't think about it before, but for example, an if. An if. The word if. We know what if means. But let's imagine it like this. An if. Right? Like the word if itself. We could have one if and we could have two ifs. Right? So if we think like this, then an if is just the word if. One of the word if. An if. We can say the same with a definite, a maybe, a probably, a yes, a no. I invited him to my party and he gave me a no. I invited him to my party. He gave me a maybe. He gave me a maybe. When you want someone to, when you're speaking to someone, you say you have to do this. There can be no reason why you do not do this. No situation, nothing. No reason why you cannot do this. No ifs, ands, or buts. No ifs, ands, or buts. This is a phrase that we use. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's a standard phrase. And it's using all of these words as nouns, right?
In Russian, we can say too much if.
Uh-huh.
If someone don't want to do something and he say, if I can or something, you can answer too much if, just do it.
Yeah, exactly. So we can use these words like this.
But
And the same, so we're really just looking at some basic rules about making words and using words, right? Because you can do this with anything. Let's try the same phrase with a sound instead of a word. I invited him to my party and he gave me a meh. We can say that. I might say that to my friend. I invite him to my party and he just gave me a And so what did I do? I just made the sound into a noun, right? Because I put the article a before it. He gave me a So this thing becomes a noun. And we can do that with any word or phrase or sound or look or yeah. Great. Next. The ups and downs of something. We've talked about this phrase before. Pluses and minuses, pros and cons, right? So up and down are not usually nouns. They're not usually things that we look at, right? Not one up and two ups. But in this context, in this situation, we're talking about the positive things and the negative things. And we're just calling them ups and downs, right? So here we've changed them to nouns because they have a different meaning than usual. All right, the last example from conversions is, has anyone seen my Picasso? Has anyone seen my Picasso? Imagine that you have so much money you don't know what to do, and you have lots of famous paintings all over your house. One is by Pablo Picasso. But one day you come into your living room and you see it's not there. And you find someone in your house, you say, has anyone seen my Picasso? So we're taking the name of the person who painted the painting and we're using it as the noun to talk about this painting, right? And we can use it with any famous name or person or thing like that. You hear this a lot in American TV shows right now. Well, you hear this a lot in American TV shows with designer brands of bags and shoes. Like there's a famous shoe designer, Jimmy Choo. And I think that's who it is. I'm not big on fashion, but you can hear people say in shows, where are my Jimmy Choos? Mm-hmm. Oh, I couldn't find my Jimmy Choo, so I had to wear this, for example. So the name of the designer is used to talk about the shoes. Great, okay. The next category is compounds. When we put two words together. So we talked about backache, rock band. So is this word about rock or is it about band?
That band only playing rock.
Exactly. So it's about band. And rock adds more information to the word band. So when we have compound nouns, the last word is the real noun. The last word is the real noun. All of the words before it are like adjectives. They just add more information about this last noun. So school bus, this is a bus. It's not a school. And school tells us more information about bus, right? So there's an interesting rule about compound nouns. About 95% of the time, sorry, not 100, but about 95% of the time, you should stress a compound noun on the first syllable. Rock band, school bus, English teacher. This is my house key, not my car key, for example. So we usually stress the first syllable of the compound noun. It's not important. It's not important if it's two words, if it's one word, or if it's hyphenated, if it has a line between a hyphen, a dash. All of these things can be compound nouns, and they all have the same rule. Usually, you pronounce the first syllable. You stress the first syllable. So backache, earache. Okay. Here we have a noun phrase, or just a phrase of words. So we can take a phrase and we can make this phrase a noun. We can make it one thing. What we need to do is add a hyphen between each word. Stick, dash, hyphen, stick, hyphen, in, hyphen, the, hyphen, mud. And so all of these words together make one thing. Hey, can you give me that stick in the mud?
What is it, Chris?
It's a stick, like a piece of a tree, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Stick. And it's in the mud. Wet dirt, mud.
Yeah.
A stick in the mud. This can be one noun because we can not just stick like a noun, but stick in the mud. You could say, I have seen so many stick in the muds, making it one. So it's like one experience of this connection of stick and mud, right? If you wanted to talk about it normally, you would say there are many sticks in the mud, right? It's all different words. But here we put all of the words together with hyphens and it makes it one concept, one idea, like one name, basically. I use this a lot, actually. I love using this because you can say any phrase and make it a thing. Let's take the phrase, hello, how are you doing? Can you say that, Marina?
Hello, how are you doing?
I like your hello, how are you doing better than my hello, how are you doing? Do you understand? We just made hello, how are you doing? We made that a noun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're doing here. And we would put a hyphen between each word. Or we might put it in quotes, right? We might say, your hello, how are you doing is better than my hello, how are you doing?
Mm-hmm. It's more understandable in columns.
Yeah, and here it's about words that we said, right? So quotes is probably better, but so it's probably not the best example. But sometimes it's not about exact words, right? Great. So next we have a 20-story building. So for example, if we have numbers, then we can make this into a noun by using a hyphen, a line, and then the noun. So 20-story, this building has 20 stories, right? Or let's use book. You could say it's a 200-page book. A 200 hyphen page, 200 hyphen page, a 200-page book, right? So 200-page, it's like an adjective. So we're using the number and the noun like an adjective about book. And we can use many of those together. John gave me his 200-page, 50-year-old president signed copy of this book. For example. And so all of those phrases could be together like one adjective phrase that describes this noun. So it makes like one noun phrase, one big phrase with all the words together to give us a special noun, right? Great. Okay, so we talked about a lot today, making new words in different ways and different examples of parts of words. Maybe you have some questions for me now. Here at the end of our lesson. All right.
Sometimes we can see some words that the root is not suffix or prefix, and sometimes difficult we recognize. No, how can I recognize it's a root or it's a prefix or suffix?
Right. This is sometimes difficult, especially for example, ly, right? ly. This is sometimes we don't understand if it's a suffix or if it's the real word, like with friendly. There's not really one rule to recognize this, but you should, like, when you see these prefixes and suffixes, you can usually think that it is a prefix or suffix. It's not. There's not a lot of situations where it's not a prefix or suffix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't know any better rule than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chris, you said friendly. This is the all word is root, friendly, or ly.
I mean,
this is the suffix.
Ly is the suffix, but it makes an adjective, not an adverb. Because the root is friend. And so friend as a noun, and then we have friendly as an adjective. And then if you wanted to make it an adverb, then it would be friendly. But people don't usually use that word in real life. But usually adverbs have ly at the end, right? And that's why it's confusing. Because this is one of those times when it's different. Okay, great. Thank you so much for your questions and for coming to our lesson today. Every Friday at 8 a.m. New York time, we go live on YouTube. And every Monday at 8 a.m. New York time, we go live on Facebook. And I am looking forward to seeing everyone on Monday at 8 a.m. New York time on Facebook. Have a wonderful weekend. And thank you so much, Amira, Nirvana, Marina, Gigi, and Aisha for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you for a
Thank
t-shirt.
you. Goodbye.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Thank you.